Hey, what's up, everybody? So this is gonna be like a financial topic, which is important. But it's been my philosophy for the last couple years that in order to stay afloat, to make sure your bills are paid, as well as having some money to like do what you want to do as far as like hobbies and activities and social stuff. Cause fuck, dude, everything fucking costs money, man. Like everything. Like people say money is not important, but it fucking is. And because it gives you the ability to do what you want to do. It gives you freedom. It gives you freedom from worrying about stuff. Like I said in the last video, money isn't everything, but and it's funny. Most of the time, the people that say that are people that either have a lot of money or have no money. Um, but it's true that it's not everything, but it is important. And I've always, the last couple years, especially, like I'd say the last 5 years, I always kind of worked on the philosophy of if you're making $100 a day, then you're good. At least for me, I'm a single guy, no kids, no major health issues other than this back injury I've been dealing with. Um, no car payment, no mortgage payment. Although a mortgage payment is whoo, I'm watching the Chiefs right now. Chiefs, Ravens. So a little distracted, but what was I just saying? $100 a day. Oh yeah, I'm a single dude, and what's it called? I don't have any major financial obligations. So for me, $100 a day is staying afloat. And if you do the math, I've always figured it as whatever you make through the day. I always like blow it up like as far as like a yearly like wage or salary. So $100 a day is 36,500 a year, um, which is not bad. You're obviously not living super lavish, but like I said, as a single dude, like that money can go a long way. And for me, my financial freedom number, I've always said, well, just for like the last year or so, is I want to make $5,000 a month passive, meaning whatever like businesses I have or investments I have set up, that they're bringing me in $5,000 a month passive. That's not your active like working wage. That is just money that you have working for you. And my goal is to eventually get to a point where I'm making 5,000 USD a month passively, and then I'm gonna fucking expat, dude. I'm gonna go live in Asia or South America. There's some places I'm gonna be checking out over the next year. This year I went to Mexico once. I was gonna go another time, but I had actually booked the first time I went to Mexico this year. Well, it was the only time. There was gonna be more times, but the when I went to Mexico this year, I went to a place called Playa del Carmen, and Playa del Carmen is like a 45 minutes drive south of Cancun, and I was not impressed with Playa del Carmen. I found it to be very touristy. I was surprised at how expensive it was. It was not as expensive as here in the States as far as accommodations and everything goes, but it was not cheap like I had anticipated. You associate Mexico with a low cost of living, and it's true. But what I've found out subsequently after leaving and reading about it, because I did not have a great time. There's a lot of scams, and I felt every single person I interacted with was like trying to get one over on me, even for not a lot of money, which was frustrating. And then what I also found interesting is how, as a white dude, I at first I felt like I was maybe being like singled out or like targeted or whatever, because there's a lot of aggressive people as far as vendors and people trying to sell you shit, and there's a lot of scams. Felt like everyone was trying to scam me, and to be fair, they were. But what I found while I was there, that it wasn't just because I was like a white guy by myself. Like, obviously that didn't help, but they do it to fucking everybody. They even did it to other Mexicans and Latin Spanish speaking people. So I was I shouldn't be watching this game at the same time, but I went to Cozumel. So I was in Playa del Carmen, and there's a ferry that goes to this island Cozumel, and the ferry, I forget how much it was. It was like $10 or something. But that would take, it was like 40 minutes on this ferry across the you're in, I guess you could say the Gulf of Mexico or maybe the Caribbean Sea. I'm not 100% sure, but you take the ferry over to Cozumel. And before I left Playa, I had bought a ticket to go snorkeling in Cozumel in the coral reefs, and it was a good experience. That was one of the highlights of the trip. Like, that was fucking tight. We go to 3 different places. It takes place over the course of like 3 or 4 hours. We went to like 3 or 4 different places. Like, the first place we went, it was 5 feet deep. The next place it was 10. The next place it was 20, and the next place it was 40. It was like that. You know what I mean? And what's it called? That was really cool. Like, snorkeling. We saw some fish and shit. And I don't know, I don't know if you've been to the Caribbean, but a lot of places there, the water is fucking gorgeous and clear. So that was cool. But the to go back to what I was saying, I promise this all comes together. So when we first got on the boat, though, you know, keep in mind, when I bought my ticket, I wasn't promised anything as far as exclusivity of like it being like a private boat or like anything like that. It was just a snorkel excursion or whatever. So anyway, I'm getting onto the boat, and there's another Clint Eastwood movie coming out. What was that one that he did where he was like fucking there was like the Asians next door or some shit? I forget. I shouldn't be watching that anyway, but anyway, they're packing all of us onto this boat, and it's not a huge boat, and we're getting packed in. And by the time like everyone's on the boat, there's like 30 people on this boat, and I speak pretty good Spanish. I wouldn't say I'm fluent, but I'm definitely can get around in Mexico or other Spanish-speaking countries. And the people next to me started talking, and everyone on the boat, with the exception of like 3 other people, were Spanish speaking. And the people next to me were like, they were like, hey, like, what the fuck? Like, we paid for a private boat. Like, what's going on? And then the people across, like the people sitting in front of me, like across the, I guess you could say I was on the port side, and the people on the starboard side were like, they're like, what? They're like, they promised you a private boat too? Like, what the fuck? And then the people like, and then another group was like, what? Like, they did the same thing to us. And pretty soon the whole boat is like all fucking pissed off because they packed us in there. One of the ladies was like, and this is all in Spanish, she's like, we paid for a private boat, and like, you guys are packing us in like fucking sardines. Like, what the fuck, dude? And the captain and the skipper were like, they stood up and they're like, listen, like, we don't have anything to do with the people that sold you those tickets. Like, if you have a gripe, you got to take it up with them. It's not on us. Like, blah blah blah. And everyone's like, oh, what the fuck? Like, blah blah blah. And in my head, I'm like, dude, I'm like, and that was like my second day there. I was like, damn, I was like, even these Mexicans are getting fucking scammed and ripped off. I'm like, no wonder they're doing it to me. Like, they're doing it to fucking everybody. You know what I mean? And so that was so the whole point of me saying that was I want to focus on checking out different places, like doing reconnaissance to see where I want to eventually expat to. Like, that's the plan. And Mexico was one of the places I want to check out, like, or I wanted to check out. I still kind of do. What's it called? Because Mexico is a country with a low cost of living, where so your money can go a lot farther. So to tie back into what I was saying before, my goal or plan or whatever is to build up passive income and then expat. And I mentioned $5,000 a month. Well, I can live comfortably off $5,000 a month here in the States. Like I said before, if I'm saying I need to make $100 a day, which is 36,500. Well, if I have 5,000 passive coming in, that's 60 grand a year. So I can live very comfortably on that here in the States. Now, if I were to take that 5 grand a month and be living somewhere like Thailand or fucking Colombia, that $5,000 a month will afford you a standard of living that I would say, I haven't experienced it yet, so I can't definitively say it, but I think you could live like a fucking king. And what's it called? So the kind of the philosophy of it is, if you're earning your money, your income, whether it's passive or active, in USD, 5 grand a month passive while living in Thailand would be like here making, I don't know, like 8 to 10 grand a month. So, and another thing to take into consideration is, let's say you're doing better than $100 a day. If you set your goal and make it to where you're making $200 a day, well, that's, what is, I've done the math before, that's $73,000 a year, and that's pretty fucking good. If you can get it up to 300, then you're right around $100,000. Let's see, that would be 73 plus 36 is, yeah, it's over 100 grand. That's like close to $110,000. So set financial goals for yourself if you can. I mean, at least this is what's worked for me, and try and work towards it. Make it happen. You set goals for yourself and try to achieve them. If you set a very high goal and you come short of it, you're still way better off than if you had set no goal at all. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, like, that's a pretty lofty, ambitious goal, is to set shit up to where I'm making 5 grand a month passive and then fucking just bounce to fucking third world country. That's a pretty like lofty goal. I think it's very possible. It's probably not going to be easy, but I want to get there one day, dude, and then start making these videos in different countries and shit, and maybe inspire other people to try and do the same. Or maybe for people who can't, they could maybe live vicariously through me a little bit, and you kind of get a little taste of what it's like. Because, one thing I'm always gonna do is be very authentic and let you in on the highs and the lows, because this is as much for other people as it is a diary for me to kind of what's the word, kind of bring my like thoughts together or whatever, but then also like to be able to look back on one day and it kind of reinforced that there's going to be lows and there's going to be highs, and I want to bring both, because too many people just focus on like the good, and they don't want to admit when things are bad or not good or not going right. And I want to be very authentic. And yeah, that's it for now. Set financial goals for yourself and try and work towards them, because money can't buy you happiness, but it doesn't hurt. And it can afford you like more options in life, and more options and more freedom. And how could you say that that's a bad thing? We'll see, though. There could be some downside to it that I don't know, because I'm not there yet, but we'll see. All right, you guys. See ya for now. See ya.